Record. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
So this is an unexpected surprise.
Aren't they all?
They all are, yes.
That's how we roll.
We are unscripted and we are unedited,
untamed,
unperturbed.
I was going to say unprotected, but we're protected.
Ooh, yes. We are unfiltered.
We are unfiltered.
What else?
Uncensored.
Ooh, unapologetic. Unencumbered.
What's that?
It means like there's nothing on you, nothing bogs you down. You're just free.
Oh, we are that. We are that. When we don't get slam dunked into the matrix.
That's right. That's a good expression, by the way.
Unencumbered?
Yes. I'm going to type one thing.
Or smackdown.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's good too.
Smackdown. I wish I had a light around me that's better. Oh, well. Man, I feel like there's so much to talk about, but like nothing really matters. Mm-hmm. But there's so much to talk about. I feel like everything is happening so fast, and like, I feel like everything is like,
it's all
so fast.
It's expediting.
Yep.
All right. So I'm really happy to be connecting with you tonight. I thought this would be a great time to do a month of May energy report, or you could say it's going to be a forecast of sorts, or what to expect, how to navigate the month of May. But do you want to start, or should I get the ball rolling, or how do you feel?
You go ahead and get the ball rolling.
All right. Well, one of the central messages I was receiving tonight was that a lot of people right now are in a state of limbo. So they're uncertain as to what the future holds. I kept hearing they're wanting things to go back to the way they were. So they're wanting to shrink down. They're wanting to go backwards. And I also kept hearing going back is not an option. And the other visual I was receiving was we're all leaving the harbor and we're sailing into the sea. And that's uncharted. I mean, we don't know what's going to be there. We don't know. So the unknown future and the unpredictable future can be quite daunting for a lot of us, because it can bring up that distrust that we have with the universe, that distrust that we have with ourselves, with your higher self, with your future self. And so it can be very scary. And I was thinking about how when people have been in prison for a long time, and then you unlock their chamber or their cell, and they leave, and then a month into being in that normalcy, they kind of want to go back to the prison, because that's what they were accustomed to. They became something in there. They probably made friends. They probably developed different bonds with people, and they felt at home. And I can totally relate to that, because sometimes when you're given freedom, you're like, what do I do with this? Or when you're starting to expand, you're wanting to go backwards.
Yeah. As you were talking, I was seeing all these different levels of where humanity is at. So there are humans that have taken the jump and taken the leap and really like left their job or moved across country, finally left their partner that they've been trying, like they've been building it up for the past year, right? And like just like trudging through, and finally they did it last month. And so now they're entering into this month of okay, how do I navigate this new way of being? I was also seeing people that were just beginning to awaken this month. And so it was like, oh my God, what is this trauma? What is this experience I'm having? What is all of this that I'm feeling? And then I saw everything and anything in between. So I'm tapping into like there's there is so much happening in the collective right now in May, more than in any other month I've ever really connected into. Because I think, like you said, it's settling in that this is our reality. This is what we're in. It's not going back. And one of the things that we are all doing right now is we are evolving. And so when you evolve, you have to you let go of old, you let go of the comfortable. And many of us are doing that right in different ways and in different levels of letting go of the old, because the old is so comfortable. And the month of May, for what I was receiving this morning, was it's a massive kick in the butt for all of us, no matter what level you're at, because the frequency on the planet, we've sped up, right? So things are happening a lot faster now. And so there's this kick in the butt wherever you are, to no longer try to plan, to no longer try to make sense of things. So this is what we do, right? As humans, we plan, we make sense of things. We try to organize everything into like these little to-do lists. We get all of our ducks in a row. And we're going to start to notice that we're going to be pulled out of that way of being. We're going to be pulled out of that way of being. It's like, just go, just do, just jump, just change, just do it, because it's a pattern or a hamster wheel. When you do those, okay, I got to get all my ducks in the row. Okay, I got to plan this. Okay, I got to plan that. It keeps you in that. It's almost like a defense mechanism that kind of keeps you in the old. So a lot of us are going to be feeling like we have to trust that what we are being pushed into is for our highest good. Yeah. That higher self has us, right? And even those of us that don't know what higher self is, or is just tapping into it, we all know what spirit is, right? We all know what spirit is. And so we're starting to, many of us, step into this place of, what if spirit has me? What if spirit has me? What if higher self has me? Instead of trying to navigate it through the mind, the linear mind of making sense of everything.
Which is really just a myopic view. Mm-hmm. As humans, we don't always have access to that greater purview of consciousness, especially if we're being paralyzed by what we're analyzing. So we're being paralyzed by what we analyze. And I love that you said we're being pushed into not over-rationalizing, not overthinking, because what I found is that when you start to get bombarded by those insidious thoughts that have a consciousness, every thought has a consciousness, these thought forms have a consciousness, it can be more difficult to climb out of that, because those thoughts are at a certain frequency. And then when you get pulled into them, then you're now dwelling at that frequency. And then you're fighting to get back to your native frequency of neutrality or whatever brings you joy. But you end up going down a rabbit hole, because one thought leads to the next and it snowballs into more and more. So there's a multiplicity of thoughts that I've been today. I got this perfect analogy that you're getting bullied by these thoughts. You're getting picked on by these thoughts. They're intrusive. They bombard you. And you're going to love this, Lorie. The only way that they can intrude you or pick on you is if there's a part of you that is still trying to control the outcome.
Right.
So you're basically shrinking yourself down because you're basically so psychic that you're wanting to let those thoughts know that you respect them, or you want to let them know that you're surrendering to them because they're more powerful than you when you're in that vibrational territory or in that domain. So you shrink yourself down, but it's mostly stemming from a victim consciousness of you're still needing something from the future outcome that you're trying to generate, as opposed to saying that your higher self is outside of that sphere. So there's no way that you can clearly see when you're in that state or in that space, because now you're blinkered like a horse and you're like, I'm just trying to get back in my center. But you're actually distorting yourself. And so your higher self, and for this talk, I almost want to call it the future self. Your future self in the quantum field, because time is linear, already has you. Like if you link into that intelligence of your future self, it will notify you, I would never have allowed you to leave the prison, or I would never have permitted you to leave the harbor if I wasn't going to take you places. So that's why going back is not an option. We can't go back, because then we're hanging on to what's familiar as opposed to moving ourselves into the unfamiliar, which isn't unfamiliar to the future aspect of you that made it.
Right.
That future aspect of you is a physical being.
Right.
That future aspect of you already made it. And so a lot of the resistance that we feel is us being in diametric opposition and in objection to that future aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we feel that way. That's why we feel like it's so loud in here and I'm getting flooded and inundated and attacked by all these wolves in my consciousness, because you're actually resisting the energy of your future self, and you're still appeasing and abdicating your own sovereignty to these wolves that are surrounding you, that are going to devour you, which they will devour you, because every thought form is just trying to get stronger. Every thought form is an eye for an eye. I'm going to eat you before you eat me. Like a lot of these thought forms that dwell in that frequency, they're in survival mode. So of course you're going to get brutally devoured by these wolves. And so the main message I'm getting from May is it's imperative that we really claim our sovereignty within an unseen field. Not only with humans, because as above, so below, as within, so without. You have humans around you every day and you set boundaries. You establish yourself as a sovereign being, but you also have to successfully manage to do that in the energetic realm, in the psychic realm, where the spiritual warfares happen.
I think the key word is the unseen. So there's two things. The biggest, loudest message that's been coming in the last 24 hours for every human, I don't care who you are, what you're doing, what level of awareness you have, because again, this is all expediting. So it doesn't matter if you just woke up or you've been awake for 20 years, right? There is this necessity. I don't exactly know why. Maybe it's because of what is occurring in our world around us and what's going to continue to occur in the world around us. But our safety is our higher self, is our spirit, is our safety net is here. And, or you could even say to the future self, but the future self even feels like it's outside of me. So it's like the safety net right now for all of us is learning that our best friend is right in here, so that no matter what is occurring for you personally, or even outside in the world, you're going to be okay and you're going to be safe. And what that requires is, when your intuition or your resonance, your feeling, your gut is telling you to do something, you do it. You start doing it, right? Because what happens is if you don't do it, you're going to find yourself sort of like what you were saying, where there's all these thoughts that are like wolves that are going to control you. And then you're going to get into the cyclical pattern of trying to control your environment. When naturally, when you're home with higher self, when you're home with spirit, when you're home with the future version of you, you're not trying to control anything. You're completely safe. So if the wolves are coming in your thoughts, they don't have a grip on you, because you are understanding how to align with that aspect of you. So you're solid, you're good, right? And you're not trying to control, you're trusting that if I feel like I'm supposed to leave this job, then there's a reason for it. The higher version of me or my future self is calling me out of it. So the key is that how does the human start to learn how to let go of control and trust that there is an unseen world that they have to be in. We have to be in the unseen world. That's part of this. That's part of this evolution that we're going through. That's part of what this process is all about, is that you are stepping out of concrete absolutes and you're moving into a flow state where there is nothing concrete and absolute other than the absolute knowingness of who you are, and that you are always moving into higher versions of yourself, regardless of what is being shown to you.
You're essentially switching on your multidimensional communication system, and you're interfacing and interacting with all these different thoughts. And you can tell when they're not in resonance with your truth. You can tell when they're not in resonance with love. But the thing is, this is the caveat. This is where it gets so interesting, because if there's a tinge of victimhood in you, a tinge of it, and you're people-pleasing these thoughts, which, by the way, these people-pleasing these thoughts can be humans in your future, meaning they can be the humans that are going to approve your document, or the teacher that's going to make you pass your test or fail you. They can be all these humans. I've always seen thoughts as humans, but when you're home, you have to expand a different way. So you might expand through the thoughts that you receive, the thoughts that you dismiss, the thoughts that you let in, the thoughts that you learn from. So to me, thoughts are like people. And so these thoughts that you're interacting with in your mind, they can be equated to people in your future. And why are you shrinking yourself down? Because that's the tough one. That's the tough part, because we've been shown in life that when you're like, yes, yes, and you're very polite, or you do dim your light down, or you do diminish your sparkle, that those people feel a sense of power, and then they'll give you what you want, because you're basically submitting to their ego. But that's still an ego game. So what I've been called to today and yesterday, because I went deep in a rabbit hole, okay, this is my advice for the month. Don't go into a rabbit hole, because it's really difficult to pull yourself out of a rabbit hole. But the main message I got was, you want to start aligning with people who don't need you to people please. You want to start aligning with people who are not in their ego and are going to give you a good grade if you're nice. You want to start aligning your reality on a conscious level, and be unafraid, and think of the service that you're providing to all of humanity by being courageous enough and by being strong enough to not falter, and by really holding your ground and standing firm in that. So you may not end up getting the outcome that you thought you desired, but you will get an even better outcome.
Always.
Always.
You always do. You always do. From my experiences, I've never been left flat on the floor. I've never been left destroyed. I've never been left, I've never been not taken care of. It doesn't mean that it pans out the way I wanted it to, but it always has panned out for my highest good, no matter what that is. Always has panned out for my highest good. And if you start to realize, this is like May is like a crash course in it's a crash course in, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Coming back home to you, higher states of consciousness, evolving, becoming multidimensional, stepping out of victimhood, unconditional love for yourself. I mean, it is a crash course in all of these things that we talk about and all these things that we read. This month is going to rattle and pummel us, kick us into it. over and over and over again. So April was really kind of chill. It was a super fun month for a lot of us. And May is going to be, did you learn this? Did you learn this? Not learn like you got to learn, but like, did you get this? Did you get this? Did you get this? Did you get this? Right. And the biggest piece is if you guys, if you can, again, it doesn't matter where you are in your evolution or your state of consciousness. If you can, in everything you do, every relationship you have, every argument you get into, every uncomfortable feeling you have, every moment, every time you go down into the depths of the hole of whatever's you're experiencing, if you can remember in that moment that you are held, that literally in that moment of, oh my God, fight and flight, what am I going to do? How, and if you, in that moment, if you stop and you say, wait a second, God's got me, or source has got me, or higher self has me, or my future self has me, because it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. That's an absolute true statement. If you're having an argument with your boyfriend or your girlfriend and they break up with you and you're like having like massive heartache, right? Oh my God, what am I going to do? You go into fight or flight. Wait a second. Hold on. Everything's for my highest good. Number one. Number two, I am held. I am held. I'm held. I'm held. I'm held. I'm held. I'm held. Over and over and over and over and over again. You will start to watch yourself go through life in an empowered state. That alone will empower you. That alone will pull you out of victimhood. That simple awareness will pull you out of any entrenched sort of system that you get stuck in. You get called into your boss and he's about to yell at you and say whatever he's going to do. Everything's for my highest good. And I'm held by God, source, light, higher self. Let's go do this. And you are instantly in an empowered state. Instantly. You don't even have to say mantras. You don't even have to like talk yourself into anything. Seriously, try it. It's like the moment you find yourself in, because if we go into those fight or flight spaces, right? We've talked about this where you're like, oh my God, I've got to figure this out. I've got to control this. I've got to make sense of this. I've got to make this decision tomorrow. I'm not supposed to be in this relationship. I better get out of it. There's all these like this pressure that we put on ourselves. In that moment, pause. Everything's for my highest good always. And I am in the hands of God. I'm in the hands of my higher self. My higher self, which is me, is literally grabbing me and saying, girl, you got this. Let's go. You got this. Break down, but you got this. Let's go. Even if you break down, you're empowered. And that's stepping out of victimhood. And that's choice. Because think about it. If you are in a situation where you are fighting with somebody, or you're about to break up with a relationship is about to end, a career is about to end, I don't know, whatever's happening, right? And you're in anxiety and stress and worry, right? And you stop for a moment and you say, wait a second, what if what Lorie said is true? What if everything's turning out for my highest good, even though I have all these emotions of fear and anxiety and stress? What if my higher self or my spirit, my soul has me? So I'm not doing this alone, even though I feel like I am. Then you begin to choose. You literally start choosing how you're going to be in that experience. You start choosing. You choose.
I feel like I love everything you just said. I was glued to the screen like, yes, this is soul food. This is balm to the soul. I feel like April was like an amplifier of how playful life is going to get. And it wanted to magnify, it was like a magnifying glass on how powerful we really are, and how indestructible and invincible we really are, and how eternal our soul is. So we felt unstoppable. And I feel like May, which is an M, is a immediate mirror. And in the past, because I want to break down this process, because I went down the rabbit hole yesterday and I was still in it today.
It was heavy.
It was very heavy. And the thing is, I really hear you on like, we're in the hands of God, right? And in a minute, I'm going to ask you for your advice or tips you might have for people who are in the thick of it, because I knew all this stuff,
Right.
but I was getting tossed around like a salad in my mind. But I was toggling between browsers. One browser was my old approach. I'm surrendering and I'm going to allow, because remember, your intentionality definitely set the tone for what you want to receive out of that experience. So I've always been the kind of person, if I'm rattled, okay, my intention, I'm intending that my ego gets dismantled. In other words, I'm intending, because you can't really dismantle the ego, I'm intending that all of my falsified, erroneous programming gets uninstalled. So I'm surrendering and I'm letting this light kind of like break it down or just like chop it up or mince it and get rid of it. So there's an intention of surrender, let go and let God. That's one approach. The other approach that I found myself in today was I'm going to claim my sovereignty. And right away, I felt powerful. I felt like I'm not going to let these thoughts bully me. Hell no. I'm going to do this for the entire universe. I'm going to claim the stake of my sovereignty within this field or within this vibrational range that isn't my default factory setting. My default factory setting is I'm like feeling so peaceful and so great. But there was still some force there that I was exerting or applying. Because when you think about anchoring in as a sovereign being, you still see the wolves around you. So it was still more of an active approach, but I felt the potency in it. I did feel the potency. And then I tried the third approach, which was being sovereign is still a state. Being surrendered is still a state. I'm none of those states. I am the I behind those states. And right away, I saw my higher self. I saw my future self. And they said to me, you are going to suffer tremendously this month if you don't lock in with us, if you don't trust us. So in the past, I used to get away with all these methods and all these techniques. And now it's an instant ricochet effect. I'm hearing May is your choice point. You're either going to struggle because you're not fully connected, or you're going to choose that I'm going to build my spiritual stamina and I'm going to develop and flex this and stretch this muscle of my higher self, and my eyes are on my future self and I'm in full trust. When you're in a relationship, you're not half committed. You can't half-ass it. You're either committed to love. When you're in a marriage, you're either committed to that marriage through thick and thin, through the ups and downs, through the highs and lows, or you're half committed and you're like, I have 1 foot in this pond and 1 foot in that pond, which is always going to invite more suffering. Because by having 1 foot in that pond and 1 foot in this pond, then you're decreasing your vibrational frequency, and then you start getting barraged by all these thoughts that dwell at the same frequency. Yeah. So I want to segue into my question for you. For someone like me who was really struggling yesterday and today, and I know who I am and I know how to raise my frequency, but I kept like moving and shifting into all these different states. The first one, the second one, and the third one. The surrender to these wolves, let them devour you, because that's just your ego that they're devouring. Okay. The second one, which is claim your sovereignty, which is more of an active anchoring. And the third one, which is I trust all is well. And that felt good. It drowned out all the noise. It was one of those moments in the movie where all the sound goes away and it's just pure stillness.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give to someone like me who knows how to do it, but they're still in it?
First of all, you totally nailed May energy. You nailed May's energy. That's what I like whatever you said, because I don't remember because I was in it. So I can't remember exactly what you said, but you nailed it. It was something about how there's a choice point or something you were talking about. You nailed it. So here's the thing about when we get pummeled back into sort of a fight or flight state, which When I talk about like, when we say fight or flight, it's that moment where all rationale goes out the door and you literally become an animal and you're just trying to survive, right? Like, listen, get out of my way. Shit just hit the fan. I've got to figure out my life. And that's fight or flight, right? Whether it's your car broke down, your husband literally just walked out the door and you had no idea, you just got called in and you lost your job. Just those moments where you're like, oh my God, fight or flight, right? So in those moments, because I think you're absolutely right about May and going forward, we are literally being pummeled into stepping into absolute surrendered states over and over and over again. Or embodied states, meaning that I, lower self Lorie, ego Lorie, is really actually not in charge. And by the way, P.S., she's never been in charge. The higher self has always been in charge, right? So there's this illusion that I'm in charge. And so what's going to be happening to us in May is you're not in charge. You might want to let go of the reins and figure out how you're going to navigate this very dense, intense world that you live in, because it's only going to get more intense. So the intensity of the world is not going to lessen. What's going to happen is that we are learning how to navigate the intensity as our bodies are increasing in frequency and we're becoming more aware. So I think that you have to act. You have to do what you have to take action.
Yes. You also, you're going to love this. This perfectly depicts the month of May. Perfectly. Okay.
I go.
Lorie's driving her car and she's tired and she starts falling asleep at the wheel, meaning going unconscious. And I'm like, you're falling asleep.
Yeah.
That's the month of May. The month of May, you have a sergeant in your ear, which is your higher self, future self. That's like, hey, you're suffering. Come back. Hey, you're suffering. Tilt your chin up. Hey, you're suffering. Keep your eyes on the road. So it's like there's which is so auspicious, right? Because it would be an understatement to say that we don't have energy assistance forces guiding us, because they're all up in our grill this month. These forces are all up in our grill. They're not going to let us get away with the old way. They're
Bingo.
not going to go back to jail.
Bingo.
They're not going to let us go back to the harbor because we get scared because there's a little lightning bolt.
Right.
They're like, hey, Lorie, you're falling asleep. Chin up, chin up, chin up, chin up, chin up, chin up. and you're going to be forced to entrain with this higher frequency. You're going to be forced to lock in to who you really are. It's just that we've been so programmed. And so addicted to pain. Like the last 48 hours, I saw how addicted to pain I was, but I'm not, because that's not my usual state. But while I was in it, I'm like, damn, of course I had to revisit this, because what it showed me was I still have a little victimhood in me.
Yeah. I
still have a little part of me that's like, ooh, but if I let these wolves devour me, maybe they're going to approve my green card. You see what I mean? Like I'm sending out an energy of submitting to other egos, and they're going to feel my energy. And because do you see what I mean? Like they're going to feel that I'm submitting and they're going to approve me. But the higher version of that is, Phil, why are you giving your energy to the ego when that's the very reality we're deconstructing?
Right.
Why can't you be okay with them disapproving your green card and going to Costa Rica?
Right.
Someone else? Like you have to trust in the greater plan this month.
Yeah, big time.
And they're like, right here, don't fall asleep. I'm right here. Okay, see, you don't suffer when you're here, but you do suffer when you fall asleep at the wheel.
Wow, that victimhood piece is fascinating, because that is why people stay in victimhood. There are these patterns and these ritualistic ways of cause and effect. So if I do something in that victimhood state, I know I'm going to receive something. For instance, if you are always complaining about something, you know that you're going to get the money returned, or you know that you'll get your dinner refunded to you, or you know that somebody's going to call you and be like, "Are you okay? Is everything okay?" There's this repetitive behavior that you are playing in that victimhood, and you get what you want. You receive what you want. So in victimhood, there are probably many, many millions of humans that don't find anything wrong with it necessarily because they are receiving what they want.
And I feel for them because it's not their fault. The system is riddled in corruption.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a fact that a lot of teachers will give you a good grade if you suck up to them.
1000%.
That's the kind of system we're living in. But here's the thing. I also want to draw this distinction or the differentiation between my real life and then this energetic life that I experienced the last 48 hours. In
Perfect.
my real life, I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
But when you're in that energetic realm and you've just got hit like doozied, you've just got whammied with a 2x4, and now you're down in the dumps, you start to see how that there was still a residual in your body.
Because otherwise, if there wasn't, you wouldn't have responded that way.
Right, because it's a more subtle realm, but it's the realm where there's warfare.
Yeah.
You know, but in my physical life, I have a hold over it. Like I would never do that in my physical life.
Got it.
But for some reason, in other words, okay, so in my energetic life, I did it the last 48 hours. But once I would get to the physical event, I wouldn't do it. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I've already mapped it out.
Yeah.
It's still a form of manipulation, but
yeah.
what I'm saying is in my everyday physical life, I'm not in that state.
Right.
I got whammied yesterday, whammied. But I had to get whammied to see that there was still a leftover in my body. And it was teeny weeny, but it wasn't teeny weeny when I was in it.
Not at all.
It was really large. It was like zoomed in, like, wow, I'm rattled right now and I don't want it. And the truth is, it's not people's fault, because when I'm in that state, I don't want to manipulate. When I'm in that state, I don't want to suffer. I genuinely don't want that. Like I'm trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
I
think a lot of people feel that way when they're whammied like that.
They don't want to be in it.
They don't want to be in it. They don't want to be in it. No, it doesn't feel good. I also think that there are millions of humans that are in that all the time and they're used to it, right? So there's like these layers of the experience, because I think that a lot of humans live with that type of underlying fight or flight, anxiety, stress all the time. God bless them. I don't know how they do it, right? But when you awaken, you've got the radar is on you at all times. So you're acutely aware of everything that you're experiencing. You're acutely aware of how you're behaving and how you're thinking, all of it, and I think the piece around what is happening, what happened to you, and what may happen to other people and what is happening to other people is there is when there's a lack of control, so you no longer have control, right? Then there's almost like the knee-jerk reaction comes out, and everything that you've all the states of consciousness that you're in normally, you don't even know where they are, right? They're gone, because the sense of control that you normally sort of have naturally when you're being in the aligned state gets thrown off course when something rattles you, pulls you off course. You now don't have any control. You now feel like your boat's about to tip over, and you're just trying to figure out how to come back onto the boat and get realigned. And I think the key here in your experience, at least what I got from it, was when I get pummeled, when something happens to me and I am thrown off course or off alignment, how? Because I deeply believe that we will continue to have these experiences throughout our life. It's not like we're never going to. The key is, how do I not get pummeled?
Yes.
How do I not get pummeled?
also, if you do get pummeled, I like that you said you get thrown off your center, or you said thrown out of alignment. I was also getting you get thrown into the basement of your trauma, like into the basement of, or the underbelly of your trauma, that thing that's been with you your whole life, but maybe you felt it from afar. But when they thrust you into the core of the trauma, it's recognizable, right? Like I recognized it, and it was like, Phil, we're gonna have you move back into this site because we want you to decide what you stand for. And I will always stand for the highest. Meaning, so if I have any advice for people, it's when you are getting thrown around or you're getting chucked around and you're being bombarded by these psychic attacks, while you're in it, try to, well, number one, don't sign on the dotted line, meaning don't accept anything, and keep affirming and reinforcing what this opportunity is offering you. So for me, the opportunity was, I'm choosing to be sovereign in every domain. So if I can be sovereign in the midst of my trauma, then that trauma, i.e. programming of the matrix, because we're not born in this world with trauma. I feel like there's so much control and programming on the world, but we do absorb it. But if you can have a dialogue with yourself and choose, then I rest assured that you're not going to stay in it much longer, and you won't have to revisit it.
What you said about the trauma piece is so huge, because I was thinking back the last week, like what the little tiny pummels that I had, they were not as big as your pummel, but like the little tiny pummels that I did have is around like a core trauma that I have. And it's interesting because if you can get past the first layer of what you're experiencing, the green card, or for me, changing rooms and having this financial thing happen and whatever, right? If you can get past that first layer, because it's not about that. It's not about the green card. It was never about the green card. It was never about any of that. It was about the underlying ways in which we are being and how we are being asked to be. And so if we can get to those, if we can get past the first layer, if you can pause in the experience long enough, right? So you don't just start moving around and trying to change and do everything, but you sit for a moment.
I like that. You're pausing in the experience. That's really deep. I like that.
Yeah, you pause in it, right? Because like from my experience, it wasn't a drastic experience like yours, but you know, one of the experiences, like, let's just say my whole laptop died when I was doing my writing my book, right? The initial response is, oh my God, go to the front desk, figure out how you're going to get another computer. The initial piece is figure it out. Figure it out. That's the fight or flight. Figure it out. And my higher self said, stop. Just pause. Pause. Do not do fight or flight. Pause right now. Right? And I paused, and she says, none of this matters, right? Like, it's all none of this matters. You're good. So now this is not easy for a lot of people because it all depends on what you're going through, right? So I completely understand that, but it can be you can do this in any situation. If you pause right in the midst of the fight or flight, the car breaking down, whatever it is, and you do your best to tap into some aspect of you that isn't the ego, some other piece of you that is bigger than you, and you stop trying to control it, you'll find some layering below the surface level experience. And most likely you will either tap into the trauma of it, right? Oh my God, this is what I normally do. Oh my God, this is how I normally react. This is how I normally respond. Oh my God, I've done this my whole life, right? Great, you can keep doing it. There's no big deal. Or you can choose to step into a state of surrender, empowerment, choice, and that piece that is, it's not that you're going into like worst case scenario, but you're going into none of it. What if none of it matters?
That's what I thoroughly believe. I believe that none of it really matters. And what I kept getting repeatedly today was, as long as you are sovereign in all that you are, no matter where you're thrust, and you trust the process, you trust the unfoldings, you will always, always yield the highest result.
Always. That's key.
Because you're shining light no matter which dimension you step into. And if you want to be a true master, you can't skip a dimension. If you want to be a master, you have to say, okay, I'm confronted with something right now, but I don't even feel it because I always feel the same no matter where I am. That's a master. You can be in heaven, you feel amazing, you feel great, but you can also be down here and you're unaffected. That doesn't happen overnight, but I think that's the goal, if there is a goal, is to be unrattled, is to be unaffected, is to be unfazed by all of it. So May's a really interesting month. I really feel like this is boot camp. I feel like this is time to decide what you want your life to mean, because you can keep playing the same old game, but you're always going to generate the same result. It's going to look different, but it's still going to carry that same frequency. And I think you talked about this in your video today, actually. You were saying that you have to commit. So in other words, if you're choosing to go big or go home, like for me, I'm choosing to be in the US. I'm choosing it. Then I need to, no one's forcing me. I'm choosing it. And I think you talked about stuff like that in your video today. If you're choosing something like you're going to be in this marriage right now, you're only going to perpetuate your own suffering if you complain about it. Because no one's forcing your hand to be in that marriage. No one has a gun to your head saying you have to be in this marriage. So you're either committed or you're not. You're either committed to your higher self or you're not. But you're going to welcome in a lot of disturbances and a lot of disruptions and a lot of discord if you're fighting yourself this month.
Yeah, it's a massive. The only way I can describe it is pay attention to how often you are being asked to let go of control. Pay attention to how often you are playing the victim, and blaming other people. Pay attention to how often you are ignoring what your intuition is telling you. Be acutely aware of how often you're ignoring what your intuition is telling you. Because here's the thing. If you are in any situation in your life right now that is making you unhappy and miserable, but you have these reasons for being in it, you can easily step out of victimhood and into creatorship in that experience. Stepping out of victimhood and into creatorship and into an empowered state and into, taking ownership of what's happening doesn't mean that you step out of something that you're unhappy in, right? What it means is that you take complete self-responsibility for it. You're empowered in it. You're choosing it, right? You're committed to it. I'm in this. I'm choosing this unhealthy relationship. Go ahead, girl, you go. I'm choosing to stay in this job that I can't stand. Great. That's very different That's a very different energy, because your higher self is going to cheer you on. It's going to hold you no matter what you're doing. Okay. But on an intuitive level, you're going to know this job isn't for me. Okay, great. But when you're in the job that you don't like and you're miserable in that job, if you can find yourself in an empowered state, I'm choosing this. I'm choosing the way I'm responding. I'm choosing the way I'm walking into this job. I'm going to choose it until I have the strength to step out of it. Right. When you find yourself doing that, you will find yourself out of it much faster.
Yes, because just as you said, I'm gonna find the strength to step out of it. What I heard is you won't even have to step out of it, because the universe is going to eject you out of that situation. Because if you've already mastered that realm of working at Starbucks or wherever, and nothing throws you off your center,
yep,
and you're of no use there.
Exactly.
You're of no use.
Yeah, you master it.
Because here's the thing, you might debate with me and say you are of use because then you're the beacon of light for everyone around you. But this journey isn't just about the people around you. It's about your constant and continual expansion. So if the universe feels like it can't promote you into a higher level within that job or within that relationship, then of course you're going to get ejected out of that situation, because you've become the master within it all. And now you're going to go master another game.
Yep. Just keeps going. You just keep jumping. You're like, okay, what's next? What's next?
How many times have you and I spoke and we're like, okay, we beat this game 100 times, let's play again. Like we talk
every day.
We talk about one thing and we tackle it from different angles. We're like, okay, we beat that game. What next?
Right. What's next? And every day they give us something new. Every day we crack a new code.
That's
every day we crack a new code.
We've been cracking codes non-stop every night for like 2-3 hours. And I'm like, I want to go live, but this is more important right now.
Yeah. But you know what? That's cracking a code. This is really important what we just said, because what happens to humans is they're in a relationship they don't like and they're miserable. They're in a job they don't like, they're miserable. They're in a home they don't like, they're miserable, right? And what happens is that they don't know how to, it's not necessarily about stepping out of it. It's about mastering it. So, because a lot of people are like, I don't know how to get out of this. I don't know how to get out of this. How do I get out of this? How do I do this? I got to plan these things, right? And it's not about that. The way you crack this is that you literally empower yourself in it. So you start to say to yourself, I'm choosing this. I'm choosing this. Because when you start doing this, you're not going to stay in it for very long. You will get ejected out, right? So it's almost like you're becoming the Jedi, right? And so you're like, I know how to play this game. I'm in a relationship I can't stand, but I can't seem to get out of it yet because I'm afraid, or I don't have the money, or I don't know where I'm going to go. Okay. So step one is you start to recognize that this is a choice. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing this. Every day you say to yourself, I'm choosing this. And then watch how your ego is going to say, no, you're not. You're not choosing this. You have no choice. Come back to I'm choosing it. I'm choosing it. I'm choosing it. Then you start to choose how you are going to respond in it, how you're going to feel in it, how you're going to think in it, right? You start becoming empowered in it. Because then as soon as you do that, you're going to find yourself elevating out of it. You're not going to be stuck in it. You're not going to be tied to it. You're not going to be in like the spider web of it, because you're going to start to find yourself recognizing what the whole thing is through stepping out of victimhood, through empowerment, through choice. And then you're going to be like, holy cow, I'm way up here. Time to go. Chink. And you're going to exit out without a plan, without any idea, because you're going to grow out of it.
I'm getting that when you outgrow it, anything that you master becomes an illusion.
Exactly. It's an illusion when you're in it. You just don't realize because you're in it.
Everything feels real when there's fear.
Yes.
Everything feels so freaking real.
Yes.
When fear is in the mix.
Yes.
But everything feels so illusionary when you beat every game.
Yes. So true.
About it. Like,
it's so true.
A virtual reality game feels real if you hold trauma in your body. By the way, I've put those goggles on before and I had people shoot at me and I felt my trauma.
Yeah.
Like it's real. Like it felt real.
Yeah.
But when you master a game and you outgrow it, it's not real anymore.
Oh, so really what this is you're mastering fear. You're actually mastering fear.
You're mastering fear, and you're indirectly teaching it that there's a better way.
Right. Because at the bottom, at the core of why you're not leaving, the core of why you're not leaving the miserable job, the core of why it's fear. There's a fear underlying you staying in something that you don't want. Period.
Yes.
You can break it down. You can make all the excuses you want, but at the end of the day, it's fear that is tying you to whatever situation you're in that you're miserable with. So you're just cracking the code of fear. So you're basically like, if I know this, yes, then I'm going to become the creator above it.
Yes. And then if you can think of fear as a consciousness that's neither benevolent or malevolent, it's neither mean or good or evil or angelic, the fear is going to keep you bound to that situation until you crack the code. So you might resist being at the same job or being in the same relationship or living in the same country. That's because you think that where you live is real. You think that you're really unhappy. That's an illusion, right? It's what I mean is it, you know what I mean by an illusion? Like you think that living or being in that relationship is horrible. Like to you, it's so real that it's horrible. You're caught in an illusion though, right? But you can't see that you're in the illusion. When you're a master, you don't even play with those illusions.
Right.
You're done.
Or you learn.
You do it consciously.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think people like Martin Luther were advanced beings, and they probably didn't feel a lot of what was happening. They were in the illusion, but they weren't caught in the illusion.
Right. Their feet weren't stuck to fear.
They were the pioneers.
Yeah.
They were the map makers. They were the trailblazers. That's what they were. They were the leaders. So
let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If you didn't have any fear yesterday
or today,
would it have been easier to remain in a state of awareness or a state of consciousness that would have felt more comfortable while you navigated it? Or was it beyond fear?
What's so fascinating about this, I knew that the fear that I was feeling wasn't mine, but it took over me. So the fear had to bind me to that radio station because there was a code I hadn't cracked yet.
Right.
There was. So that's what I mean. Like the fear, maybe the fear didn't want me to crack the code. I don't know. But I see everything as one.
Yeah.
So the fear and higher self are two sides of the same coin to me.
Yeah.
Love and fear are two sides of the same coin. And the goal is to become the coin because then you're the master.
Yeah.
So the fear, I was communicating with the fear because I wanted to understand, why can't I exit this? Like, what do I need to extract, or what do I need to glean from the situation?
Yeah.
I'm so good at like being in this higher state, but this was more significant. There was more depth to what I was experiencing. And what I saw was that there still was an aspect of me that wasn't claiming my sovereignty with all these people who are in charge. I was shrinking myself down, which was an egoic aspect, which you could say ties in with fear. But it was in my basement. It was unconscious. But I was ready to become conscious of it. It's not like I want to perpetuate this.
Right.
But sovereignty is something that has really come into my focus in the last 2 years. So once you move into the game of sovereignty, then you might have to revisit every level and apply sovereignty. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. 1,000%. Because
yeah,
sovereignty is a really challenging one for people to, I actually think embodying and being with higher self is easier than sovereignty for a lot of people. Sovereignty requires, let me try to How would you describe sovereignty?
Well, sovereignty to me is a little different than embodying higher self or surrender.
Yeah, 1,000%.
There's definitely an anchoring feeling, like I'm cementing it into my body. So when I'm claiming sovereignty, like today, I saw myself with all these wolves around me, and all of a sudden it was like, vroom, and everything just drowned out. I am sovereign. This is my body. This is my mind. This does not feel good to me. I'm claiming it. But it's definitely more of an active energy.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm pulling it down and I'm pulling it in.
Yeah, sovereignty
And
to
I feel the
me.
transformation in my body as I'm doing it. Like
Yeah.
when I'm holding that sovereign stance, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. When I'm holding that sovereign stance, there's a real time solidifying in my body that's happening.
It's like you have armor on all of a sudden or something, right? Like sovereignty to me is like I all of a sudden just put the shield down. Off I go. And I'm like, I'm solid. I'm good. Nothing's going to impact me. Nothing's going to pull me off kilter. Somebody could come in and just start raging around the kitchen, and I'm sovereign. I am solid in my beingness.
You're not going to internalize it. It's never
Nope.
become, it's never going
Not
to
me.
walk through the doors of your dimension.
Nope.
Sovereignty to me is an installing of your sovereign technology. It feels like you're installing technology in your body.
Yeah, because you have to, you are doing, you have to hold the action of it. It's an action state, sort of.
Well, let me ask you this. This is a good question. Why do you think that there's an action to it, an activeness to it?
Because there's an awareness around holding it. It's almost like you have to be consciously holding it.
Yes.
Otherwise, you could be susceptible to the armor going down a little bit, right? So there's this, for me, there's a constant actionable awareness that I'm in a sovereign field. It's so subtle, right? Because
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. And what I was going to add to that is when your armor starts to come off of you, then you're susceptible to the contrast in the world, to the fear, to the corruption.
Yeah.
You're susceptible to all the egos that are playing small.
1,000%.
So the reason why sovereignty has an activeness to it, like an active energy to it, is because it's in contrast.
Yeah.
It's in contrast with what's going on around us.
And we're designed to be able to, I mean, this piggybacks on everything that we've been saying, because we are designed as human bodies, or in human bodies, to be sovereign, i.e., we can walk into any war, any battlefield, any argument, any fight, any corruption. We can walk into any of it. It's all energy. We can walk into any of it, and we are sovereign, meaning we are not impacted by it. So if you take sovereignty and throw it into what you've been experiencing, right? There's a beautiful lesson in that, because I mean, there's so many little lessons and gems in what you've experienced, but one of them is, if you know that you are sovereign in everything that you're experiencing, first of all, victimhood is gone. It's not even the same atmosphere as sovereignty. It doesn't even hold, you can't even say sovereignty and victimhood in the same sentence. It doesn't exist. When you're sovereign in those moments that you're having the fight or flight or whatever you're experiencing, there is a state of, I've got this, I'm going to nail this, get out of my way. That kind of feeling of like, so it's not a surrendered state. It's more of a, nobody's going to break my stride. You know, that song, nobody going to break my stride. So you know that you're good. You know that you've got this. Whatever this is, I've got it.
By the way, I had already beat the game of surrendering to all that. Like, I've been devoured by many wolves, but I did it with grace.
Yeah.
Because it's remember, it's all about intention. So if you don't see thoughts as bad and you allow yourself to get devoured, you're just collapsing your old ways. You're collapsing your old identities. So I had already beat that game.
Yeah.
So I had to come back to the game and braid it. I had to, there's the braid of the surrender, which I'm used to, which is why I keep going back to that, because I had mastered that game. Because you tap into your vulnerability, you let people in. And then there was another braid of sovereignty now. And then the third braid was I trust my future self. That's a choice. And it feels different than sovereignty.
Very, very.
Trusting your higher self or your future self is highly, highly unlike sovereignty. So I had three braids. I had the surrender, and it was so annoying because I was going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But I think the main pieces for me were the sovereignty. And then obviously we always come back to trust.
I think the biggest piece that I got from your experience was how do I say it? Do you hear that?
No.
You don't hear the buffalo right behind me? You don't hear them making that noise?
I hope you guys are enjoying the live, by the way.
Oh my God, you can't hear?
No, is he
they're
right?
They're right there and they're like snorting.
Are they telling us like we should wrap up?
No, they're just enjoying. Wait, so what I got the most out of it was, if I find myself in a situation that Phil is in, I'm going to learn from Phil's experience, and I'm going to practice I think the biggest piece is the pause before the fight and flight, the pause.
Yeah, I think that the main piece is don't let them throw you down that rabbit hole. Because as soon as you plummet in your vibration, as soon as you're down in the dumps, you do get devoured.
You have to stop it before you get thrown down there.
You have to catch it in time. And then the other thing is sovereignty and trust go hand in hand, because once you claim that sovereign stance and you're like, I'm always gonna serve the highest. I'm always going to serve the highest, even if things don't go the way I thought I wanted them to go. It'll always lead to the highest outcome. Thus, I'm choosing to trust the process that's already been achieved by my future self. In other words, my future self is requesting that I be sovereign because my future self already made it. In his physical body or in her physical body, my future self already made it. So my future self is training me to be sovereign so that I get ejected out of this realm. And so that I always trust the higher unfolding.
Well, this is key because this is a big piece. I'm
just tying it all together now. Like, this is so awesome.
The higher unfolding is the canvas that you've already written, the canvas that you've already printed, the canvas that you've already designed. Okay.
The masterpiece.
The masterpiece that you've already created. Okay. If you know that you've already created the masterpiece, lower self Lorie is going to try to, because I forgot that I've created the masterpiece. Lower self Lorie, ego Lorie is going to try to control every aspect of every move, of every paintbrush, of everything. I'm going to try to control all of it. And the role, the lesson, or it's not even a lesson, the way in which I am being asked to be in every single moment now is to literally put down the paintbrush of trying to control everything, of having an expectation or a judgment around how any of the canvas looks in this now moment. Because remember, the masterpiece is already done. If I know the masterpiece is already done, I'm still creating, I'm still intending. then I will trust so deeply in every single thing that is unfolding in my life. I will never doubt. I will never question.
Oh.
I would never hold on to. I would never go back. None of that would be in my reality if I held so firmly to the knowingness that the masterpiece is already done, which is our sign, which is your blueprint.
Can I share a beautiful message I'm getting for everyone? And then if you want, we can close, but this is so perfect. Even your dark moments, like my dark moment or whatever dark moment you might have out there, right? The dark moment is the brushstroke of that masterpiece.
Ooh.
Oh my God. So it's like the masterpiece is a masterpiece because it's multidimensional. The masterpiece is a masterpiece because the painter felt like shit that day and was like, phew. And you are that brushstroke. You are that color on the canvas. And you have to remind yourself that it's just a stroke, but that the masterpiece gets done.
Yes.
Completed.
Yes.
Think how brilliant that is. So this didn't feel good to me, but it's going to make the masterpiece a masterpiece.
Right.
And so just let myself be the stroke because it's temporary.
Yep.
Wow. That is so good. That is so good.
Imagine if we held the moment that you got the call, the moment that you got the email, the moment that you got the smackdown. If you overrode it with, okay, this is a part of the masterpiece. This is a part of the masterpiece. This is a part of the masterpiece. I feel like it would be, there would still be aspects of you that would fall. There would still be moments, it would still be difficult to stay out of it. But I think it helps when you hold that perspective.
You have to, because the masterpiece wouldn't have the impact it has on people if they half did that stroke.
Right.
Right. So you might fall really deep because he meant it when he was angry, or he meant it when he was passionate. He meant it. And you're like this frequency that's in slow motion going, fuck, this is lasting 3 days. Oh my God, 4 days, because time doesn't exist, right? It's the intensity of that brushstroke.
Right.
I just love that. Like, I'm literally just temporary.
Exactly. Everything is
to a greater whole.
Yeah.
This moment belongs to a greater whole. This moment is just a moment that's going to be remembered as a little blip.
And if you're always intending for the highest good, right? So you're intending things. I mean, this can go into a totally different tangent. We won't go there, but when you intend from higher self as opposed to ego, you will move towards the masterpiece a lot faster. So meaning if you intend for things or manifest the way we love to manifest in this world, right?
I like where you're going. I like it.
If we manifest from ego, which is, these are the things that I need externally to make me happy. These are the things that are going to fulfill me. This is going to make me look like a really successful person, et cetera, then you are literally veering off the canvas, right? And you're starting to create these other little pieces. You're starting to create these other little side projects, right? No big deal. But the higher self is always going to pull you back on target of that masterpiece. It's always going to pull you back, meaning if you are creating and intending something and it's not coming into fruition, can you trust that there's a reason for that? Why are you continuing to push and push and push for something that may not be for your highest good? Maybe it's actually the ego. Maybe there's actually something better for you if you just let go of this idea and this notion of what you're trying to intend and manifest that may never happen, and that may actually pull you off course and further away from the actual masterpiece. Higher self is always directing you towards the masterpiece over and over and over again. Higher self knows what better than lower self. Higher self always knows more. And when we follow higher self, we have to let go of those manifestations and desires that we think are for our highest good. Perhaps they're not for our highest good because we're not even aware that the ego created it, right? So this is the same thing with like creating a partner, right? So somebody coming into your life. If you let go of the whole entire idea of it and say, forget it, I just want what's for my highest good, the partner's going to come when the partner's going to come for your highest good towards that masterpiece. Instead of, I'm going to make the partner come because I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And then some partner may come in because you freaking tried to manifest it so quickly through ego. And then 2 years later, you're back on the same track.
Wow. And when you do that, when you veer off course, you're really just caught in an illusion, which isn't going to be a part of that masterpiece anyways.
No.
Because the higher self is the great artist.
Yeah.
The higher self is like, lay your burden down,
yep,
and let's get to the masterpiece already.
Yeah.
In other words,
and that's what this month is all about.
Lay your bricks down, and then you're going to vibrate higher. And when you vibrate higher, you won't have to stay in that stroke as long.
Right.
You won't have to stay in that stroke as long.
No. If at all.
Yeah.
If at all.
If at all. You're right. If at all. It'll be like,
I said this to you. I said this to you yesterday. I will always say this. I deeply 1000% believe that we will never have to suffer again.
I don't either, because this is what my higher self told me yesterday. Phil, when was the last time this happened to you? I was like, 10 months ago, a year ago. And my higher self was like, that's pretty good. Like nothing happens to you. Like you have a very peaceful life.
Yeah.
So I think we need to give ourselves a pat on the back. Everyone in this room, start being kind to yourself, especially when you're in that, because if you're gentle with yourself, at least you're observing what's going on and all these different fluctuations that you're experiencing emotionally and mentally. I'm always kind to myself. So even though what's happening to me is highly uncomfortable and sometimes disturbing, I'm gentle with myself, and I'm like, let's figure this out. Let's solve this puzzle. So
yeah, the last thing you want to do is beat yourself up when you're in it.
Oh my God, that's like fanning the flames. If you beat yourself up and you judge your experience, you are going to exacerbate everything. So anyways, I want to thank you, Lorie. And can I please give your donation link, because you're like, this is amazing. And I feel like if anyone, by the way, I also say to people, we don't expect anything ever. We just appreciate it. But Lorie's link is paypal.me/LorieLad1. So paypal.me/LorieLad1. And mine is feelgoodlife.com/donate. feelgoodlife.com/donate. You guys, I thank you so much for being here with me and with Lorie, and we appreciate you so much. And we love you
guys so much.
We love you. I call them Care Bears now.
I know. I love that. I love it so much. It's awesome. Well, you know what's so great about the Care Bear is the Care Bear has the heart, the light that comes out of the heart.
Yes.
Yeah. Every Care Bear has the light that comes out.
Yeah.
Oh, where is it? The belly? Wherever. Yeah. And it's like, Too!
I know, it's so cool.
The light comes out.
All right, you guys. I love you. We love you. We'll be back with more soon in another version.
We love you. Thank you for being here. Go rock May.
Bye, guys.